You're now tuning in to the Ambitious Views podcast, where we share unique perspectives on storytelling within film and television from the past, present, and future. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious Views podcast. Super excited to get back at it because these strikes are over and myself and Blaze are ready to get back into it full swing, and we're jumping into the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for this episode. So I hope y'all are ready. But of course, before we get all into it, you know we got to do the this or that. Blaze, I hope you are ready.
You know I stay ready. Never have to get ready. I'm not like you. I'm built different.
Okay, Miss Built Different. And you doing pretty good today, Blaze. I know you didn't do no work today, so.
I didn't because I didn't have work today. So they learned from last year, because last year we had to work the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But this year they was like, we'll get y'all this day off.
Oh, must be nice.
It was.
Be nice.
It was. Got to catch up on some sleep. I got to get my hair done. So
okay, yeah. Come on now. Come on. I need to get mine attention.
Yeah, you need to definitely cut something.
Ooh. Let's get into this or that. Anyway, all right, Blaze. So we're talking about Hunger Games. We're bringing it back. And so I would like to ask, if you were having to represent your district in the Hunger Games,
okay,
which one would you prefer if you could choose? Would you choose the present-ish, because it's kind of oldish now, but the present version of the games, you know,
like the 75th and the 74th?
Yeah,
the one that Katniss was in. Okay,
the one that Katniss was in, you know, Peter, all of them, you know, the Forest, all these things. Would you want to be in that, or would you want to be in the 10th Hunger Games version with the raggedy drones and the I'll give you this, the arena is put in place. It's not as broken.
So more down. Like Hunger Games 9.
Yeah.
The 9th one, not the 10th one.
Yeah, but we got to include the raggedy drones. Got to.
Okay. I don't know, because it's so interesting watching the development of them from this new film. Because one thing that I picked up, like in the 74th and 75th, you know, they wined and dined the tribute. And in the 10th one, they stayed at a zoo, you know. That was tough. I would probably, I'm not an outside person. And so the whole outside conditions part of the newer version is not really for me.
Okay.
So probably the old school one, especially if they had that little part where it was broken and they could go down into the tunnels and stuff and I can just hide. Like probably the old school.
Got you. Okay.
Because then I wouldn't have to worry about being outside. I wouldn't have to deal with, like, because this was also before the time where they built like Jabberjays and actually put them in the games, or had like those genetically modified beasts and stuff. So probably the old one.
I forgot about the beasts.
Yeah.
Because that was the only thing, because wasn't something poisonous there too?
Oh yeah, and they had that poisonous rain or fog or something. So see, like, I can't deal with all of that.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Even though it makes my stomach sick, I probably would have to do Hunger Games 9. Yeah. With the raggedy drones.
With the raggedy drones, you know, just
we
even wild, you know, get out the way.
You got to be quicker than that. Well, cool. Well, dope. Yeah, man. I'm ready to get into this conversation because it was a lot. It was a lot. I just saw this last night, so I'm ready to get into it. So, but of course, before we get into the real take, Blaze, what's been on your watch list? What you been checking out lately?
Okay, so Hulu created a show based off a popular book, Black Cake. So I've been looking at that. I haven't watched this week's episode yet, but basically, Black Cake, it's a story about this woman who kind of had to restart her whole life based off of some things that happened when she was younger. I want to say she's from Jamaica and
Mm-hmm.
she was forced to get married to somebody so that her dad's debt could be taken, so it can go away.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy ended up dying on her wedding night, and so she ran away because they all think she's killed him. And so she
Mm-hmm.
ran away, and she kind of started this whole new life. Had to come up with like a new name, new
Mm-hmm.
identity. Um, and so years later, she decides to finally tell her truth to her kids. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she passes away, but she leaves like an audio tape. So think like 13 Reasons Why tapes, kind of. She
Mm-hmm.
leaves the tapes for them, and we kind of get to see what her past was like and her journey. But then we also get to see her children and how kind of like how because their parents were so secretive about their past,
Mm-hmm.
how that impacted the way that they grew up as well. And so it's a really good story that goes back and forth between the past and the present.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's on Hulu. I highly recommend checking it out. I'm probably going to read the book after it's over, just because even though I know what happens from watching the show, there's a lot of good stuff that they can't necessarily put in a show. Like the thoughts of
Mm-hmm.
somebody can really help you figure out their reasoning behind stuff.
Got you.
So I'm probably going to end up reading the book.
Okay. Cool.
I decided to rewatch Vikings. Oh, were you about to say something?
No, but I was kind of thinking I've been curious about I've seen that it's kind of getting back in attention, at least on like TikTok in certain areas. It seems like on the back end people have been talking more about it. And I know I've been wanting to check it out just because I'm not sure if she's technically the main character, but I know that like with her being in the
Project
Project
Greenlight.
Greenlight
Yeah,
project, I want to just kind of support her in that because she
yeah.
was good in that project. So yeah.
She is the main character, but she's playing the main character when she was younger. But
Yeah,
we do
yeah.
still get to see her. You see her throughout the entire series.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, I would say she's a main character for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I decided to start rewatching Vikings, which used to come on the History Channel, and then they have a spinoff that's on Netflix.
Hmm.
It's just about Ragnar Lothbrok and how he started raiding in England and stuff like that. So I decided to rewatch that because I remember growing up watching it and it being so good. And so I was like, I've never rewatched it before, so let me go
Hmm.
ahead and do that because when you rewatch stuff, you notice stuff that you didn't realize before. But
True.
also, when you get older, you think of things differently. Like I remember being younger, and I used to love Ragnar, but like now I watch it, and I'm like, okay, I can see where he started kind of letting power corrupt him, but also
Hmm.
I can see how other people, if they hadn't done certain things, then Ragnar would have never became like he would have never started developing negative traits if people didn't keep trying him essentially.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But so it's been fun watching that. I'm almost done with season 2. I think I started like last week, but I'm almost done with season 2.
Okay.
And then I'm checked out this little web series, by somebody I know, called the Black Eyed Peas series,
Hey.
by Courtney Revels.
Oh,
Y'all
I
may
know
know
that guy.
him.
I know that guy. I'm
But yeah,
scared. I'm scared for her to say what she think about that one, y'all.
it's a web series that my wonderful co-host has put out through his production company, Emerald Ink Pictures. And
Mhm.
it's like episodes that follow like different people. It's pretty funny. Like each episode kind of follows a different, I guess, story arc.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is based off of just things that you probably have experienced. Like I think the first episode was about like period schemes, which
Mhm.
if you remember during the pandemic, that was at an all-time high. People trying to
Yo.
get you to get this and get that and talking about you'll make this much money. No, you won't. You won't.
Yeah,
Stop it.
yeah.
Um, it was an episode about like mentorship and like helping other people once you make it. That
Mhm.
was pretty good. And then there was one of my favorite episode was probably the peekaboo one when like the group of girls was following somebody around trying to figure out who their man was.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
pretty funny. And I
Well,
really liked that episode too, when I think it was the daughter was talking to her mom about being a vegetarian or being vegan and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I thought that was a pretty cool episode because I know in like the Black community, that's becoming like more popular. People becoming open to being vegan or being a vegetarian and stuff. And
Mhm.
like for some people who are like, I would say in the old days, type of thinking, like that's a big deal to them. Like you don't eat this anymore and stuff. So I thought that was a really good episode, culturally relevant episode. But it's a pretty good series, so y'all should check it out. It's on
Whew.
YouTube.
I didn't pay her for that, y'all. She just said it on her own. I didn't pay her.
We're gonna talk
Uh,
about it later. But the Hunger Games new movie, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
mhm.
Reality show wise, I'm watching House season 3, which this season they decided to do like an all-star cast of Bravo people. So people from Below Deck. It's a show called, I think it's called Family Karma. People from Summer House, people from Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, just very, and Vanderpump Rules. So like
Mhm.
just a bunch of different people from different Bravo shows in Winter House this year, which is actually a good thing because the last time they did Winter House, it was so repetitive. They kept on talking about two people who weren't even there, and I'm like, no, y'all need to revamp this. So I'm happy they did that. So it's been like fun to watch. And then Surviving Paradise on Netflix. I also watched that. It's a competition show that's kind of like it's kind of like yeah, it's kind of like Survivor, but also if you are a challenge fan, if you remember the season Invasion of the Champions, it's kind of like that season essentially. Like they start off in nature surviving and then they can go to paradise but like they go back and forth and stuff, and
Mhm.
so that's a fun show. If you haven't watched it, it's definitely something to watch.
Yo, like I forgot to follow up with you about that madness. Y'all, when I say surviving paradise is crazy, like I thought Perfect Match was savage. Like surviving paradise, y'all, man. Like people haven't really been talking about it that much, but surviving paradise is wild, wild. And we
Hmm.
can't jump into it deep into this episode, so that might have to be like a bonus or whatever, like Blaze and I are gonna talk about on the side. But going back to what you mentioned about one of the episodes of Black Eyed Peas, I'm not gonna say a name or nothing. Well, I'm not gonna say like the actual scheme, but definitely during the pandemic or right before the pandemic started, there was this one thing that was going around. Like if you invest in certain amount of money,
Hmm.
apparently I saw that like um I didn't know it was an actual like couple or whatever like that was a part of like kind of starting that or whatever, or one of them. And
Hmm.
apparently they are in a lawsuit or something to where they may have to end up spending out or paying in like a whole bunch of money, like it end up being a situation. So be careful about those pyramid schemes, y'all.
Yeah.
Man, so but dope, dope. Well, I'll start off with my good old passive watch, and that's Selling Sunset, which seems like it's kind of hard to be passive because the stories be storying. Thankfully, between I think season 6 and season 7,
Hmm.
we've been getting more experiences of actually selling homes because I feel like it got so oversaturated with drama that we really didn't get more deeper into like selling homes with the experience like and all the stuff like that. But I really love how they talked about like the whole mansion tax that they was trying to beat before a certain time and other aspects or whatever like that. But it definitely the drama definitely found its way to, be intensified or whatever and stuff. And this time, which we haven't had in a little while, we actually got a reunion after, and it definitely was not
Okay.
nice. Yeah,
Oh.
the only thing I do wish, I felt like they didn't go into certain details that they could have addressed a little bit more, unless they cut those things out because they really get too deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very interesting. If you enjoy, learning about homes, just real estate, seeing nice homes, all this stuff like that, with a little bit of drama in it, you might as well jump on it and stuff like that. We do plan on trying to watch Selling the OC, which is, I guess you could say, almost kind of like a spinoff from it, because the Oppenheimer group has um another branch in Orange County and stuff like that. And I had already been wanting to try to check it out, because they would, at different parties and big social gatherings, they would introduce us by just showing their name, that they with another um, branch under their umbrella or whatever like that. And then literally they showed a sneak peek, and a dang guest on a reunion, just and within 5, 6 minutes, they got
Mm-hmm.
into it passively, randomly.
Oh.
I'm like, dang, like this is crazy, and stuff. And the cool thing I think about this is women and men, they're a part of OC. So it's cool to actually kind of get more dynamics and thought processes, instead of just, kind of like a streamline, whether kind of like it or not, as far as narratives that go on within, Selling Sunset. So but After Sherman is a documentary. I've been on my docs more lately, of course. After Sherman is a project that talks about um, cases that were going on within, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but I want to say, if not North, I think South Carolina, but I think it's in North Carolina. And it was very interesting take on the filmmaker who kind of followed his path / point of view, and just how things were moving and shaking after time, had passed or whatever. And I love the segments where he kind of followed his father, who not only was is a pastor, but actually active in the community. And he actually was connected, and if I'm not mistaken, at the spoken with one of the members, or were at the church a few hours before the shooting in it was in North Carolina. So
Mm-hmm.
he actually, if I'm not mistaken, actually preached at one of the services for one of the members who was unfortunately killed because of a racist man. And so it was a very unique piece, talking about generational things, talking about things that's going on in the community, and stuff like that. Even though I believe it's produced by, I think, one of the PBS umbrellas, I think POV. I hope I'm not getting that wrong, but I think it was POV, which
Mm-hmm.
is an umbrella. It's a branch of PBS. Even though it was associated with that, it's actually, you can find it on Tubi. So it's a pretty good
Oh,
project.
okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool project. I'm pretty sure the distribution portion was on POV, but now you can find it on Tubi. I don't know how long it'll be on there. So I highly encourage you all, if you're interested in those type of stories, to jump on it. Silver Dollar Road, it was something also in North Carolina, documentary that's on Amazon Prime. And that was really good. Unfortunate. I won't go into too deep of detail, because I definitely want you to. It is an experience when you watch it, but basically it follows.
When you say
Um,
it's an experience, you mean like it's a little heavy?
it's not necessarily heavy, but it definitely will touch you on your emotions of where does it lead to, and
Okay.
stuff like that. It's not heavy, whereas in it deals with oppression, but in a different sense. But it definitely shows you in a systematic way how we as Black people are affected in different ways, even into current times,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, or whatever. And just things, whether it's like lack of education, lack of support, to where it can really hurt families and generations. And so Silver Dollar Road is follows this family. I believe the family name is Reels, Reels, I believe. And basically, not too long after um, uh, people were enslaved. Not too long after, slave was ideally abolished. This particular family bought a huge amount of land. I forgot how many acres, but they bought this huge plot of land in North Carolina, right off of what can be considered, lake slash leading to beach area, and basically they had homes down this Silver Dollar Road. So just think of your traditional dirt road or whatever the case may be. For those of you who kind of like myself lived off of dirt roads, and it was like different generations that live up and down this road that came from this or whatever the case may be. And basically, the overall focus of it is how they've owned this land for generations within the family, but over time, with issues either with documentation or just being on the same page, and then on top of that, people just being very inconsiderate and being money hungry. um, you see where they struggle with being able to keep their land and their family um, over generations, like over decades, to be honest. So very powerful in the sense of just really understand the power of ownership, and what it can do to a family, and stuff like that. But it's really good. It's definitely really good. Like, to be honest, I would honestly say I would not be surprised if it would not be considered for an Oscar, in my personal opinion, and stuff like that. Just because I haven't heard too many, I haven't came across too many other documentaries this year that's like, oh my gosh, but I haven't been able to catch up with a lot of docs that's been doing well in the film festival runs this year. So,
Mhm.
um, so yeah, but really good. Um, they call me Magic. I've been kind of like on and off of this docu series for a little while, but from Winning Time to the Lakers docu series that's on Hulu, I just been all in on these stories, especially since Winning Time has been canceled.
Don't remind
And
me.
yeah, unfortunately, and basically, it follows the story of, they call Magic Johnson, Irvin Magic Johnson, and it's literally, I honestly would say, one of the best docu-series I've seen. At first I was kind of wondering, but like as it keeps going, the way it addresses things, the information that it provides is really good. And I will say, even though that Magic is heavily in there between he and his wife speaking wise, and
Hmm.
they have other individuals and other parts that kind of cater to it, it doesn't take away from the fact that they are telling the story from the information that is gained, and not just telling it Magic's way, and stuff like that, and stuff. And so yeah, so highly recommend. It's on Apple TV Plus. If you're into sports, if honestly, um if you enjoy The Last Dance, I feel like you'll definitely enjoy this, and stuff like that. So highly recommend. Highly recommend that. Let me see here. Um, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right, but the name of this short film that I watched, Batsu, Baxu, and the Giants. It's a short film I watched. I think it came out in 2019, but it's a Namibian um, project. It was produced in Namibia, which is an African country in
Hmm.
Southwest, right beside South Africa, and it's really good. I would just honestly say, if you like um, grounded stories that's from a child's perspective, but it's real life, watch it. It's really good. I don't even want to spoil it because it's a short, but just watch it. It's really freaking good. So it actually, from what I understand, it was actually the first film that ever got a distribution deal with Netflix. So it was
Oh.
it was on Netflix for a little bit, and now you can just watch it on YouTube. So, but highly recommend. Um, Arkansas PBS Mystery League. Aja and I have a long list. Aja and I were extras in this series. I was excited to hear about that. Our local PBS is investing slash producing into a fictional project. It's like so it's not a non-scripted project. So it is a scripted project. And basically it's about following these three main character kids, or I guess almost middle schoolers, who are assigned to be a part of mystery league of the school. And basically they solve mysteries or try to resolve things, throughout their time, in school. And so the first two episodes just came out. You can watch it on the Arkansas PBS YouTube, and y'all, I watched the first two episodes, which is all in one project, which is around like 20 some minutes. It's really great, from the animation to like the acting. Like, I am super proud of our local PBS for putting this together. And
That's
I
pretty
really
cool.
hope, oh yeah, and I
And
really
it's cool
hope
y'all
that,
got to be a part of
yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing when we're gonna pop up in it, because I think we were
like that's
extras
sweet.
for,
That's sweet.
yeah, like we was in it for like 2 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, 2 to 3 episodes. And so really looking forward to it. But they really did a great job. I know the directors, I've been able to actually work with one of them on on the Greatest Homecoming documentary that I did for them and stuff like that. So so shout out to Terrell and Eric. They did a really good job with directing it, and I know they're also in the editing space of it as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of it turns out. And lastly, we finished Loki season 2. Just want to let you all know that Blaze has not watched Loki or Loki season 2, but she
Nope.
calls herself a Marvel fan. If
I am
you
a
want
Marvel
to,
fan.
so
Maybe
if
not this phase fan, but
so
yeah.
if you want to give her a hard time, please feel free to give her a hard time. And if you see her in a picture with a Marvel shirt, you can screenshot it and put fake in the caption. I don't,
Ah,
whatever you want to do. No, I'm just joking. No bullying allowed. And I have to come for y'all. But anyway,
ah.
uh, Loki season 2, it was definitely great. I will say that them adding this season on definitely puts it at the top of the Marvel TV shows. Really great. I will say, since I can't go in deep details because of my co-host, I
You can
will
go into
say,
deep details.
no, I'm not.
I know how it ends. I know how it ends. So.
You suck. You really do suck. But anyway, I would just say that I'm interested in how, with this phase, it seemed like it was about the multiverse, but it seems like none of the multiverse issues connected. And it seems like it was almost kind of resolved, that how I'm interested to see how things will be going moving forward. Of course, I don't think either of us have seen the Marvels yet, but hopefully we will soon, maybe. If not, we'll definitely catch it when it's on Disney Plus. But yeah, I'm interested to see just how things going on. But I will say, character development wise, Loki is definitely, if not number one, definitely probably number two.
I'm
Of
happy to hear that. I always
all the
liked
Marvels.
Loki.
Yeah, he's they definitely did a good job of just doing a full circle thing, going there things for a different perspective. I love how they took chances in this, and it did make sense, and it wasn't extra. So I'm definitely interested to see how it would go. So now we gotta look forward to what is the show? What If season 2, which I'm really excited about, because season 1 was great, because that's pretty much, to me, is about the number one show out of all of them. Only reason why I don't talk about it as much because it's animation, but really great. And then I think I saw a trailer about Echo that is going to be mature, and that looks really freaking good. Basically the concept. So, but anyway, that is my watch list, Blaze. Wow,
Ooh,
that's what happens when we have been busy.
yeah.
So, but let's get into this real take. Finally, we jumping into Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Blaze, I will say this. They had to remind me who the freak they were. Okay.
You didn't rewatch.
I did not rewatch.
See, you the
So
problem. You the problem. Cause I was rewatching and I'm so happy that I did.
They
But
had to
I would
remind
have
me.
I would have known. I think I still would have known who was who, even if I didn't rewatch. But I'm happy that I rewatched it because it reminded me. I think that was my first time ever rewatching
Yeah,
the entire series. And
yeah.
man, The Hunger Games is good. Specifically, Catching Fire. That movie is incredible.
Was that the
It is
second
so
one?
good. Yes, that's the second one.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
the book being amazing. Like I remember the
Mm,
experience of reading the book and then going to
mm-hmm,
see the movie, but just to
mm-hmm.
like watch it again these years later, I was like, wow, they did this like everything 10 out of 10.
Yeah, like they had to like your boy was shook on a couple of scenes. I was like, oh, okay. I forgot y'all kill folks without
Oh Lord,
warning.
not you
Like,
thought you was finna watch a Twilight movie. No, sir. We kills people in this movie. We savages.
oh
We don't
man,
care.
like Blaze, like at the zoo when Homegirl
Uh-huh.
was like playing with her,
Yeah.
and like she broke that bottle into her neck.
Yes, she
Oh,
did. It's the
boy.
Hunger Games. We hungry over here.
Oh
Survival.
my gosh, man. And it's like she was, I ain't gonna lie, she was being a butt. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
dang, it definitely woke me up. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
forgot. I forgot this is a franchise that kills little girls at the beginning without even letting you know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot.
I mean,
So
they do a reaping, Corrigan, of kids, and then they take the people who get reaped and put them in an arena to kill each other.
Blaze, I ain't seen nothing like this in a while. Most of the time when you hear somebody getting stabbed, the camera, goes the
Nah,
opposite direction.
you gotta see this pain.
Man, so first off, like I said, they had to remind me who the freak they were. Second of all, like this was definitely a really great film. My
Mm-hmm.
my co-host Teresa, shout out to Teresa. She was telling me apparently she's deep into it. She actually read the books and stuff like that as well, and she read most of, if not all of this one. And
It's the
she actually,
longest book ever.
okay, yeah, she said that her ranking was Hunger Games 2 and then this one, I mean Hunger Games episode 2, or the second
Catching Fire.
movie.
Yeah.
Catching Fire was number 2 and number 1, and she put this as number 2,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it was really great, man. I really love the pacing and stuff like that at the beginning. It kept me wondering, but
Mm-hmm.
then it didn't give me too much information to where, especially since it's been a while, I feel like that world can be almost kind of Harry Potter-ish. Like there can be so much
Mm-hmm.
information that's kind of like, well, what about this? What about that? Who is this? Who is that? How they can? How's that relevant? But I really love the pacing of, we're going to introduce this. Somebody's going to say something. You're going to understand where they're coming from. If you catch you, you do. If you don't, you'll be okay because you still got to, take whatever is being thrown at you in person. And the supporting cast of the main cast was really great. I really enjoyed
Yes.
that. It really helped everything. It really helped the story. Like the story was the people, and I love that in
Mm-hmm.
dramas. I feel like that ultimately that's what has built this fan base as great as it is, just because like the actors do a really great job with being the story instead of having to tell and show so much. They are the story.
Mm-hmm.
uh but what were you like, did you already read the book before you got into it?
No, I didn't read the book.
Mhm.
I was originally gonna read it, but then I was like, it's a little long, and one of my classes has been pretty tough, so I was like, I really don't have time to read this book.
Yeah.
But I do have intentions to read it, even though I watched the movie, because like I said earlier, there's things in the book or yeah, in the book that you can't necessarily put in the movie. What I've seen a lot of people who have read the book say is that if you look at it and you think like he became a bad person after this experience, it's like no, he was kind of a cruel person throughout. Like if you when you read the book and you start seeing what his thought process is, and everything
Mm.
that he was doing was very calculated. It wasn't like out of the
Mm,
kindness of his heart and stuff like that.
mm,
Everything he did was calculated. And so I would like to read the book to really, really see what that experience is like. Because even when I was
mhm,
watching a movie, my brother says, this is the making of a psychopath. And then I was reading what people who have read the book said, and they was like, you can really see how a psychopath is being created in the book
mm.
because you read his thought processes. And so I'm
Wow,
I'm
wow.
interested in reading the book for sure.
Wow. I definitely can see that because, definitely when, and of course, as always, y'all, spoiler alert, like we barely get deep into any films without going all the way in.
Mhm.
But I can definitely see that because, there were some points which, with his best friend, and sorry, y'all, I'm not the best with names at times and
For
stuff like that.
Jonas, I think that was his name.
Yeah, like it was one of those things where I was watching certain things that he did with Dad, or he did with is it Lucy Gray?
Yeah.
With Lucy Gray or whatever, where it's just like, which side of the fence are you on as far as what you're getting ready to do? Are you doing this
Mm-hmm.
to save yourself or make yourself look good, or are you doing this for the both of y'all, or are you doing this for yourself? It was always one of those things, how like where is it going, and um I definitely would say like the ending for me made me wonder. Like it's like I feel like the ending put a stamp on it as far as between he and Lucy Gray. I think
Yeah.
the only thing that for me, I don't know if it goes deeper into the books, which I'm pretty sure it was, is like I was trying to wonder, and I'm curious of what you was thinking, like, was it alluding to the fact at the end that she was always gonna do this to him, if she got her way to a certain degree, or was her reading him, as they say, she had been around the block a couple of times, she know how people can
Mm-hmm.
be. Was
Mm-hmm.
she reading him as in, I don't think I could trust this dude. I done seen what he done did for me just to help me win the games. I done
Mm-hmm.
seen how he ought to be out here. I done seen what he done done as far as killing these people or whatever like that, without hesitation and stuff. Um, and then the way he's looking at these guns, and then he asked me would I ever do anything to him, and knowing what happened to his best friend, and
Mm-hmm.
I trust him. So that is something that I'm interested in having a conversation about, of like how, like, where were you at on that? Do you feel like that was always going to happen, or do you feel like they left it open for interpretation?
Oh, they definitely left it open to interpretation, but also they did it in a way. So when I was watching it, the ending was a little confusing, but I did kind of read it as if so when they were walking towards the cabin and he made the slip up of saying three is enough for me, and she was like, three? I know you killed two people. Who's the third? That I think when he made that slip up, she started to, as they walking, they ain't got nothing else to do. She started thinking, like, wait a minute, if he killed another person and that other person was Sir Janus, his best friend, what would he do to me? And so I do think that once they got to the cabin and he found the guns and stuff, because she was the one that told him to look under the thing and stuff, and she seemed like she knew that the
That they were
guns,
there.
that they were
Yeah.
there, right? And so I think she was trying to test him and see, because she asked him, you know you got rid of all your loose ends except for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think his response to that was comforting enough. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
why she was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go outside and get some Katniss. No, my guy, I'm going and I'm leaving for the rest of my life because you may try to kill me.
Right, right. Yeah, like and I like that perspective or whatever, because I kept on forgetting that she only saw him. She didn't know that he was the reason why his best friend died.
Right.
I kept forgetting about that because I was also confused on the three part. I forgot about that. And but yeah, that made sense or whatever. And that whole dynamic was very, I loved it in a sense. I will say that I wished, because I don't know if they're gonna do another one. but I wish they would have made a part two to it. Like I would have been curious to know about his dynamic with the current game maker, how
Mm-hmm.
that grew and developed. Like just one more movie, and then also his interactions with Lucy Gray one more time, and seeing what kind of chaos or whatever like that led to. Because I feel that in order for it to have gotten to the level that we see with Katniss and her narrative, that he had to have learned from the past. And I don't believe that he, along with the current game maker and the game makers after her, would have been able to be to the level that they are at today without learning from that. Because that, I mean, going from 10 to in the 70s, that's a lot of different games,
Mm-hmm.
and so not that, of course, nobody wants to, if they feel like writing wise is pointless, to show another bloodbath or wherever like that, which that's the beauty of Hunger Games, is always more than just dealing with this. Kind of like I tell people how, dang, what's the name of that franchise, where they have from midnight to noon, they can like literally everything is
Oh, Purge.
the purge. Like I tell people, it's always more to it, especially the the movie about the first ever night purge.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's a really deep film. But anyway, so yeah, I really did love the dynamic that they played with that, with him trying to find her in the forest. I really do feel like they kind of brought him out more, but I did love the fact that, like, it showed that she was about that life too. But it's just like, okay, but where did she go? I want to see her some more. I want to see, also all of the gems that she shared, because she mentions about Katniss. She sings the tree song. She sung the heck out of that dang tree song. Like,
He
like
did.
you know, um, there was a lot of things that I just really would love, like if we can get one more,
Mm-hmm.
because it was so good, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that in that
Yeah.
space.
And I was gonna also add to at one point in the movie after the Hunger Games, she had said sometimes she's still in the game. And so that ending scene too um was very telling. Like she sometimes she still is in the game. And so when she realized she couldn't really trust him, that made sense why she put that snake down as a trap for him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if her intentions were to just escape. Like, okay, let me put something down that's gonna stop him so I can get away.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, ultimately it was pretty wild, but it is trippy how he went from being concerned to, like, as you mentioned, like a psychopath, to someone who can easily be like, I might like something, it may involve other people, but the moment that it's an inconvenience for me, like, you're gone. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it went from, like, he let a snake bite without getting a reasoning from behind it. He completely snapped, like, oh, I'm finna shoot to kill, like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So she
Yeah,
made the right choice.
yeah,
She
yeah,
made the
is
right choice.
which was crazy within itself, because, like, literally he did what he was able to do by getting rid of the gun. So what else could she have done to jeopardize you? You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that.
Well, you
So
got to keep in mind that he helped make her a spectacle.
mhm,
Essentially, like people in the Capitol love her now. They loved her from watching her do the Hunger Games, and so if she would have came out and been like, "Hey, Cornelius cheated for me. He set these people up." Like she knew all of his dirty secrets.
mhm,
And because the Capitol people loved her, they probably would have believed her.
true. And you know what, which is the other topic of this, which I feel like which makes his character so dynamic, is he has a poor man's spirit, as in he's
Mm-hmm.
willing to literally do whatever it takes
Anything. Mm-hmm.
to not be at the bottom. So
Yep.
even though he was able to be around them,
He's
and all
very
this stuff like that.
entitled.
Oh yeah, he's very entitled in what he feel like he deserves, even though he has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because his family was once, he feels like he should still be. And
Mm-hmm.
then it doesn't help that he lives in the capital around all these rich people, and he's masking like he's still rich, and it's like, but you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, man.
You
That whole
deserve
thing,
nothing.
yeah, I mean, it was really trippy, and I will say, man, like, even though it was crazy within the self-aware like that, and it's like they make this whole, they do a great job of making it hard to really almost root for almost anybody besides some of the tributes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the moment where he and the instructor who pretty much
High bottom.
um yeah, like him killing him at the end, like that was that was
Now
a
four.
moment.
Yeah.
That was a moment right there. And so they really did the thing. Now I didn't realize this because I was thinking that his cousin was a lady who did all of the designs, but my coworker told me that the lady that we see, if not the third, the last,
Mm-hmm. The one that helped them. Yeah.
yeah, that was the cat. That was his cousin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the final thing she said to him was, he asked, "How do I look?" And she said, "You look like your dad."
Hmm.
I'm sure their relationship went down the drain after that.
Yeah, because even though she knew that they was having a hard time, she wasn't a big fan of the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that. I mean, I feel like the grandmother was still stuck in, I get an old-ish mindset
Oh,
because
definitely.
obviously,
Did you not see the way she was dressing? She thought
oh
she was going
yeah,
to the ball every day.
every day she was happy to be, back on top, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like it's definitely one of those things that desperation, having a poor man's spirit,
Yeah.
that's what led to him making some very messed up decisions, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever like that led to that. So yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned earlier that like you would like to see more and stuff. And I would too, but like at the same time with this film, you can kind of see how we went from the 10th Hunger Games to the 74th and to the 75th, because it seems like in the past, if you won the Hunger Games, you just kind of won and went back home.
Hmm.
So it makes sense that, by the time we get to Katniss them, they have created the Victor housing unit. Why do that? So that they can keep
Hmm.
an eye on everybody who wins, because now they have influence, because people love them. But you
Hmm.
need to be able to watch them and see what they doing and stuff, because you don't want another Lucy Gray who knows all the secrets and goes out, who can possibly,
True.
tell, he doesn't know what happened to Lucy Gray. He doesn't know where she's at. And so for him, I think it gives him comfort to know where all the other victors are, which makes
True.
sense, is why they
True.
created,
Yeah.
the housing unit for them. But
Yeah.
also like why they give them a prize now. Like you get money for
Yeah.
the rest of your life and stuff. Now, because if they do that, that makes them feel entitled, like they're a part of the capital almost. And so if you feel that way, you're never going to like lead a revolution against us.
True. True. And I just thought about it, technically, since he was a part of the first ever mentorship program for the tributes, he incorporated that as well, to where that's always a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that or whatever. And not people who would never be a part of it. They just get to be, they just enjoy, the show, I guess, in a sense or whatever. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think for me, and I feel like for others, especially for those who, haven't read the book and may not be big book readers, I think I would just want them to address the gems, the not the gems, the Easter eggs that they dropped that alluded to the future, which
Mm-hmm.
is Katniss. I think that's my only thing, because I asked my coworker, I was like, is Lucy Gray's Katniss's grandmother? And she said no. She said that basically, um, she read or saw, unless the book alludes to it, that basically, the young lady who kind of introduced the show that had the blonde hair,
Mm-hmm.
apparently she had the gift of being able to easily mimic things or wherever like that and stuff. and said that when Katniss was explaining things about her family and stuff like that, she said her dad could do the same thing. And so apparently that potentially is her, she's a descendant of that lady and not
Mm-hmm.
Lucy Gray. And it was like literally back to back. She said something about Katniss and described how strong the plant was, and then she sung the song, and stuff like that. And I just kind of felt that, especially like I just wished they could have explained things a little bit more in that sense or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
at least, in that. So therefore, if you didn't do something else, there wouldn't be a yearning for that, because I do feel like that's worth a good 20, 30 minutes of my time I would be invested in, not necessarily to make the movie longer, but seeing Lucy Gray come out of nowhere to give him a hard time, or like, she's you haven't wrote it in the books, what I'm saying? So what if, she starts another uproar and a war, I could just see how they can play with that tug and pull between them two.
But I
But
don't
they can
think that they would ever do that because Lucy Gray wasn't, she's not Katniss. Like Katniss, the actor that played Lucy Gray said it pretty perfectly. Katniss was a fighter who was made to be an entertainer. Lucy Gray is an entertainer who had to become a fighter. And
Mhm,
so Lucy Gray is not trying to lead a revolution. So I don't see that ever happening, her
mhm,
coming back to give Snow a hard time. And then I also think that the mystery of her is like that's what it's supposed to be. Like the
mhm.
fact that Snow does not know whatever happened to her, that haunts him all of his life. And I think
True.
it's supposed to be that way. Cause even
Mhm.
like me, like the other day, I was like, dang, what happened to Lucy Gray? Like that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that all the time now. And I think it's supposed to be like that. And I think it's pretty cool that Snow was able to erase her. Because if you remember from the first movie, which you don't because you didn't rewatch it, but
Ooh.
if you remember from the first three, they said that no one had ever won the Hunger Games from District 12 before. We know
Oh.
that to be a lie now. We know that
Wow.
Snow worked to erase what happened in the Hunger Games 10.
Wow.
Yeah. So they just completely erased that experience. But I say it's cool because here's District 12 years later singing the Hanging Tree song as like a nursery rhyme from this girl that is like a mystery figure, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
like even though he did everything he could to erase her, even though he did everything he could to erase her, she's still a figure in that district through that
Yeah.
song.
That's true. I can definitely see that. Basically Lucy Gray became a folktale,
Yep.
pretty much. A folktale and then also a hope for District 12. Wow. Yeah, that's a good POV. That's definitely a good POV. Yeah, like, I don't know. I just feel I feel that me just saying that I want more and other people mentioning it too, I think that just honestly shows how great this film was. And I do feel like it's been one of the best films, especially in the fantasy-ish kind of
Mm-hmm.
world that I've seen in a long time. And there were so many elements, especially when it just comes to like balancing the drama aspect and everything like that. Like they just truly did an awesome job with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed it. Um, what did anything else kind of come to mind, about the film or whatever that, kind of stood out to you?
Um, we mentioned earlier about like how they had the tributes back in the day staying in the zoo,
Yeah,
and then in the future they put them in like the best
luxury.
hotel and stuff.
Yeah,
Honestly, I would rather the zoo because I think it's kind of cruel to give them luxury just to send them out to die. It's like you don't care about me. And it goes back to what Snow in the future would always say is that the Hunger Game is a symbol of hope. And I feel like that's cruel to set them up in luxury and then you kill them. or
True.
you force them to kill each other. So it's like, yeah, just go ahead and put us in the zoo because that's all we are to you anyway is
Mhm.
entertainment. Another thing that stuck out to me was like the way that the people, because so in the first three movies and books, it's coming more so from like the district perspective. This one
Mhm.
came from the capital's perspective, which I thought was really interesting because it
Mm.
was cool. It was interesting the way that they talked about the districts, like, oh, their district, they wouldn't get along with us or stuff like that. And I was like, wow, come on, this is so like segregation,
Oh yeah.
so elitist. We're in the capital and they're in the district. Like, are y'all serious?
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Like that was really great. And I will say two things. One funny thing, I just have to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll start with the more like made me proud moment was I think his name was make sure I'm getting the name right. What it is Plenty Harrington. I think I may be wrong. No, no, it wasn't him. It wasn't him.
Which
Who was it?
character?
Who was the guy who what was the name of the man who physically it seemed like he probably could have won, but he
Oh,
um
Reaper.
was I think it was Reaper. He pulled down the flag.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Blaze. Hats off to I really love the black man representation that they did in
Mm-hmm.
this film. Not only, yes, he can be strong to his morals and all this stuff like that, but he has a heart. He knows how to care for a village outside of him. He like greatly balanced film. Like for me, I feel like for other people, they may have kind of overlooked
No, that
that.
was a
But
powerful moment. Like
yeah,
him pulling that flag down and them gasping and stuff. Like we
yeah,
know people who do that in the real world. If somebody
yeah,
pulled the flag down and stuff, like you got.
exactly. Exactly. Like that was one of the most powerful moments I feel
But
like in a
even the
film.
way he died too was pretty powerful.
Oh
Like he
yeah.
just sat there and he didn't try to like leave. He just sat there and was like, I'm not gonna give y'all the satisfaction of me trying to or of my suffering. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just take it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's also one of those things he probably knew that I know I can win this, or it's a great chance that I can win this, but I'd rather go out right here, right now to be instead of being a slave to you
Mm-hmm.
all to make y'all feel good about this.
Right. Kind of like
But
what's
yeah,
the point of winning, you know?
exactly. Exactly. What's the point to keep this cycle going? So
Yeah.
yeah, I really did enjoy that.
I was also gonna mention Viola Davis' character, Dr.
Oh
Gall.
yeah.
Amazing.
She did the
So
great.
evil. So
She did
evil.
so great.
Like, oh my gosh. She was so good and so creepy and scary. My brother was like, this movie should have came out in during Halloween time because she
Ooh,
was
yeah.
very, creepy
Yeah.
and stuff. And I'm like, she played that role very well. But also, like, at the end, she takes him in and becomes his mentor. And so we see how he was already kind of becoming a bad guy because he,
Mm-hmm.
like you said earlier, he wanted to be on top so badly. And
Mm-hmm.
so being under the guise of Dr. Gall it just put the world in a very bad place for a long time.
A very, very bad place.
A very bad place. And then the last thing I was gonna say, um, Sir Janus, when he showed up on that train when they was going to District 12, I was like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna end well. Because this dude is Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Cornelius Snow is just trying to get back to the Capitol. So he trying to do his
Yes.
25 years and get back to the Capitol. Like,
Oh
I
man.
was
Like,
like, this ain't gonna end well for him at all.
oh man, yeah. Like when I start seeing him kind of whisper to some of the people in District 12, I'm like, bro,
Right. I
what
was
in the
like,
heck are you doing? What
but
are you
even when he was
doing?
on the train and he was like, I think I can really make a change. How? As a peacekeeper? Sir, no, you can't. You can't. This is the
No.
worst thing for you. This is the
Yeah,
worst thing for you.
exactly, man. But yeah, like no, Viola Davis did her thing. Like honestly, I would say it's probably been one of my favorite, if not my favorite role of her, because I feel like she's such a great actor, and sometimes I feel like, like sometimes it's hard for me to take, like it's like, because you can, like, I don't know how much of a stage background that she has or wherever like that, but she can come out very strong, but I do feel like that dynamic of this story fit her so
Mm-hmm.
well to where she can be
Mm-hmm.
as grand as possible. You know what I'm saying? And she fit right in with it. And for me, taking on a character, this has been one of my favorites because I literally feel like I couldn't have seen anybody else playing this at all.
Mm-hmm.
She did great. One funny thing I will say is, um, why did the man who played Snow, why did he look like Malfoy whole time?
It's because he had the blonde hair, which he typically isn't blonde. I think he's like a brunette. I
Uh-huh.
can't think of he's in a show I think that's supposed to be really popular.
Like
Um,
Blaze, he looked like he could be Malfoy's
Malfoy's
son
yeah.
in the future. Like he looked just like, it's like, can we please get after Hogwarts movie right now? Like
Hogwarts,
right now.
Hogwarts, Hogwarts.
Look, like let's get it right now, man. But
Yeah,
overall, this was a really great film.
it was an
Like,
amazing film. 10 out of 10.
yeah, it's
Acting, script,
yeah,
everything.
like yeah, I mean, I know sometimes it's kind of hard for some fantasy and nonfiction, well, more so fantasy projects to get um, nominations and stuff like that or whatever. But I just feel like the acting and stuff like that was so good. Even at least even the writing and directing of this was so good. Honestly, a lot of areas, writing, acting, just the whole team, they really did a
Hmm.
great job. And I
Everything,
really,
everything looked good. The cinematography was
oh
really
yeah, oh
good.
yeah, and Lionsgate, came with it. I feel like this is one of the, it seems like for me, it may be that, it's been a little while since we've seen things from Lionsgate, which, of course they did the other Hunger Games, but they definitely came with it, with them being possibly considered maybe one on a smaller level, but they definitely show why they about their life too. So
Hmm.
um, so yeah, really great project. Looking forward to seeing, what's next for some of these actors, but definitely like, hey, Lionsgate, I'm ready to see what else you got next.
Hmm.
Um,
I want to say the book came out for this particular movie in 2020,
okay.
and they filmed the movie last year from like June to November of last year, or July of November to last year. So I mean, if she is cooking up another book, the turnaround time isn't going to be long based
Yeah,
off of that to
yeah.
get it to a, because she has a deal. The author Suzanne Collins, she has a
Mm,
deal with Lionsgate. So every time she writes something in the Hunger Games verse, it's gonna be made into a movie.
mm. I mean, I mean, hey, I'm curious to what they would want to do. I feel like the only other step, if they're not gonna go forward, after a little bit after Lucy Gray,
Mm-hmm.
like let's just see the war. Let's just see the war, and I guess how it ends up leading to the first Hunger Games, if that's even necessary or whatever like that, to a certain degree, because it seems like there's a lot there that they left a lot of eggs, Easter eggs in when it comes to, um, Snow's dad, the guy
Mm-hmm.
that was his partner that Snow ended up killing, um, how that ended up affecting the family, why it was looking all rough and stuff like that when we first started the film. Like there is some stuff there to where it can be a whole nother universe. I mean, well, not a whole nother universe, but a whole nother narrative within the Hunger Games verse, but is relevant for us to see because they did hit home on a lot, which makes sense on the war. They should remember, and it's like I am kind of interested in, like, okay, what was the deal about this, and
What
why?
led to the war?
Yeah, and
What
how they
led to
get.
the war, but
Mhm.
also how did the war end to where the capital came out on top? Because if the capital is just one small place and they going against all these districts, how did the districts lose?
Yes, 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 that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm very curious about and stuff. So, but yeah, overall, like really dope project. If you haven't seen it and you don't care about spoilers and you done made it to the end with us, I highly recommend it. It's definitely one of those projects that it was so much energy to it. I definitely don't mind watching it again because it's just such an experience to go through, and stuff like that or whatever. So, but other than that, we're happy to be back. Shout out to the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild for finally being out of strike, and
Yeah.
hopefully, this the deal that they have now it continues and gets better. Because it's a business, but the artist needs to be treated right, and without the artist, you don't have a business. So, other than that,
Mm-hmm.
um, until next time, y'all have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.